Hello, and welcome to today's webinar on tips for job seekers. My name is Jody Benavides, and I am a recruiter on the National Strategic Recruitment Team for the USDA Forest Service. During today's session, you will learn a little about our agency, the type of career opportunities available, and how to find and apply to those opportunities. There will be a few questions during this presentation that we'd like you to answer. When you see them on the screen, please click the Ask a Question button and submit your answers into the Q&A pod. Before we start, I do want to go over some tips to ensure you get the most out of today's session. First, we have a lot of information to share with you, so please feel free to grab something to take notes with. This session is being recorded and will be accessible through the same link you joined today immediately after our session concludes. Closed captions are available for anyone that would like to use them. The next slide will give a visual of how to access the closed caption option. If a slide is difficult to see, you can zoom in by pressing Control equals. To zoom out, press Control minus. We are unable to assist with connection or technical issues and recommend contacting your local IT support or help desk for those. We will have a Q&A session at the end of this presentation, so please enter your questions into the Q&A pod as they come up. You can enable live captioning by clicking the closed caption button in the bottom right corner of the video player. I would like to take a minute to introduce you to our team. This is who we are. The USDA Forest Service National Strategic Recruitment Team is a diverse group of employees who are skilled in assisting applicants who are interested in a Forest Service career. We have folks who have field experience, others have worked in HR for a long time, some have managed programs, and a few are just starting their own federal careers. We provide informational webinars, individual consultations, outreach to community organizations, and other resources to assist potential applicants. We might even see our team at career fairs, national conferences, or at your local college or university. At the end of today's session, we will provide you with several ways to reach out to our team. Forest Service values. It takes a talented workforce with various backgrounds and experiences to care for the land and serve the people. Our agency values reflect the proud legacy of the Forest Service, expressed in the language of today's workforce. As employees of the Forest Service, we believe in service to each other, the American people, and the planet. Interdependence of all things, people and nature, communities and colleagues for past, present, and future. Conservation, protection, preservation, and restoration for multiple uses. Diversity among people, perspectives, ideas, experiences, and ecosystems. Excuse me. And safety in every way, including our physical, mental, and social health. As recruiters, we help the Forest Service find top talent to accomplish our mission of caring for the land and serving people. This short video will introduce you to the Forest Service while highlighting our mission and values.
Hello, my name is Barney Gant. I'm a Deputy Regional Forester located in the Pacific Southwest region of the Forest Service, also known as Region 5. The Forest Service is a diverse organization of over 30,000 people responsible for managing 193 million acres of public land spread across the United States from Puerto Rico to Alaska. The lands we manage are incredibly diverse. The rainforests in the Pacific Northwest to the arid Southwest to the tall grass prairies. Our jobs are as diverse as the landscapes we manage, but every one of them contributes to fulfilling the mission of the Forest Service. Many of us have wondered how we fit into the Forest Service and how our jobs contribute to the agency mission. Let's meet a few of the fantastic men and women who work very hard in support of this mission.
My name is Richard Gonzalez, and I manage for healthy, sustainable forests and to keep forested lands forested.
My name is Tanya Wilkinson. I work at the Albuquerque Service Center Budget and Finance offices. I supervise a team of budget analysts that serve as liaisons to our budget partners across all regions, stations, and areas.
My name is Mike Mascarenas. My duties include patrolling National Forest lands, investigating any resource damage, protecting the public, employees, and natural resources.
My name is Erwin Chambliss, and I help people identify invasive plants in the southeastern United States.
I'm Danelle D. Harrison, and I'm responsible for the management of 560,000 acres of National Forest System lands. I do this in collaboration with partners and stakeholders, as well as other Forest Service employees.
I am Ivan Gonzalez. I support the Forest Service in its communications efforts through network, computers, and telecoms, and radios.
I'm Susan Alden Weingart, and I have an awesome job. I get the great pleasure of working with all kinds of people across communities and landscapes to introduce our young people to the great outdoors.
My name is Linda Joyce, and I work at the Rocky Mountain Research Station in Fort Collins, Colorado. And my research focuses on quantifying the effects of climate change on ecosystems and natural resources.
The Forest Service employs thousands of people who work behind the scenes as well as directly implementing projects in the field. Our connections are much deeper than what we see at the surface. Each of us contributes in our own way to sustaining our nation's forests and grasslands, delivering benefits to the public, helping the global natural resource community make better management decisions, and making the Forest Service a high-performing agency. It takes all of us in all of our jobs for the Forest Service to succeed in its mission.
I am the forest silviculturist for the Kaibab and Coconino National Forest. I sustain our nation's forests and grasslands. I am the Forest Service.
I am a supervisory budget analyst, and I help ensure the Forest Service ability to manage its funding. And by ensuring that, I also ensure that critical personnel on the ground delivering the programs have the financial ability to do so. I am the Forest Service.
I'm a law enforcement officer on the Cibola National Forest. The benefits I provide to the public is that I connect them to the outdoors. I am the Forest Service.
I'm an invasive plant specialist with the Southern Research Station, and my work helps sustain our nation's forest and grasslands. I am the Forest Service.
I am a district ranger for the Williams and Tucson Ranger Districts on the Kaibab National Forest. It is my pleasure to promote not only inclusive culture, but recruit a diverse workforce, which ultimately helps us excel as a high-performing agency. I am the Forest Service.
I'm a service area technician with the Chief Information Office. My work directly supports the transfer of technology and application. I am the Forest Service.
I am the partnership liaison for the Rocky Mountain region of the U.S. Forest Service. I deliver benefits to the public by connecting people to the great outdoors. I am the Forest Service.
I am a research ecologist, and my research helps sustain our nation's forests and grasslands. I am the Forest Service.
I'm an information technology specialist.
I'm an initial tag dispatcher.
I am the Chief of Staff and Assistant Director for the Forest Service Job Corps program.
I'm a general engineer with the Forest Operations Research Unit in Auburn, Alabama.
I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
I am
the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service. I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
I am the Forest Service.
Yo soy Forest Service.
I am
the Forest Service.
We are the Forest Service.
As you saw from the video, the Forest Service provides many job opportunities, both outdoors and indoors, professional and technical. Opportunities can be permanent or temporary for students and recent graduates, as well as for those not in school. Many Forest Service employees start out in temporary positions, such as trail crew workers, wildland firefighters, biological technicians, and many others. Seeking a temporary job or student internship with the Forest Service is a great way to gain experience with the agency, work outdoors, and get exposure to different careers. The majority of entry-level positions are field-going, meaning they spend a majority of their time outdoors. There are many types of technicians and internships, such as in wildlife and fishery, forestry, hydrology, soils, archaeology, plants, engineering, and rangeland management. There are also customer service, visitor information assistant positions, and administrative positions who work indoors in an office setting, interacting with the public. Before we get into our next topic, we have a quick activity for you so we can get a feel of who is participating today. We would like to know how many of you have already set up an account with USA Jobs. We would love to see your response in the Q&A pod, so please respond yes or no now. Now we will walk you through the process of applying for opportunities within the Forest Service. USA Jobs is an online system where you can access all federal job announcements. If you don't have a USA Jobs account already, the first thing you will need to do before applying is create an account. Creating your account. Follow the online prompts to create your account. When creating your USA Jobs account, you can choose between different authentication methods that you will use each time you log into your account. When you enter an email address, make sure to use a personal email account instead of a job or college email in case you move, change jobs, or leave the school and no longer have access to that email. Use an email that will follow you. Creating your profile. Once you've created your USA Jobs account, you will need to complete your profile. To do this, click on the Create Profile button. You will be prompted to fill in your contact information, eligibility, and preferences. After your profile is complete, you can upload documents such as a resume and transcripts. Now we have a challenge for you. True or false? Forest Service recommends that you use the resume builder. Place your answers into the Q&A pod. We will give the correct answer on the next slide. USA Job allows you to upload or create a resume to use when applying for jobs. Up to 5 resumes can be saved to your account when applying for positions. You may want to use different versions of your resume to explain experiences relating to the specific job you're applying to. Be sure to include any irrelevant experience, regardless of where it was obtained, including volunteer work or school experience, because it can help you qualify for a job. Federal resumes may be several pages in length, as opposed to the private sector. USA Jobs allows you to build a resume if you choose not to upload one. If you answer true to that last question, you are correct. We highly recommend using the resume builder tool to ensure key pieces of your resume are captured. With the resume builder tool, specific information that must be included in a federal resume is clearly outlined. In addition to your resume, you may need to upload other documents required by the job announcement. The document section on USA Jobs is where you can upload additional documents such as unofficial transcripts, proof of enrollment, cover letters, certification, or a DD 214, which is the record of military service. For fire, upload any fire experience records or certificates. Now we have another challenge for you. With which filter can you search for job opportunities within USA Jobs? A, keywords, B, agency, or C, location, and D, all of the above. Place your answers into the Q&A pod now. We will give the correct answer on the next slide. The federal government offers many hiring paths to recruit and hire from different groups of people. For example, there are hiring paths for veterans, Peace Corps, and Vista alumni, military spouses, students, and recent graduates, and individuals with disabilities. There are even opportunities open to all USA citizens. Job seekers will be able to identify their eligibility and search all opportunities available. These hiring authorities are established by law or an executive order and identify certain categories of individuals eligible for federal jobs. We encourage you to review this chart within USA Jobs to learn more about each eligibility and determine which are applicable to you. If you are not deemed eligible for the hiring path you apply under, then you will be marked ineligible and your application will not be considered. If you answered D, all of the above to the last question, you are correct. Once you are ready to begin your search for federal job opportunities, you can search by entering the job title, department, agency, series, or occupation into the keywords search box. For example, you can type in Forest Service and a specific location that you are interested in. For students, you can type in the word internship or trainee. There are multiple ways to search for jobs using various criteria, such as hiring paths, location, department, agency, pay, work schedule, and others. In the screenshot, you can see they filtered by agency. In this case, Forest Service, and by the following hiring paths, open to the public, veterans, and land and base management. Now we have one final challenge for you. How many GS pay grades are there? A 13, B 15, C 17, or D 19? Place your answers into the Q&A pod now. We will have the correct answer on the next slide. The job opportunity announcement contains all the information an applicant needs regarding an open position in the federal government. Once you have found a job opportunity announcement that you like or find interesting, it's very important that you read the announcement thoroughly. The following type of information will be included in the announcement: a unique announcement number, position title, series, and grade, promotion potential, type of appointment, and location. The announcement number is specific to the job opportunity announcement posted on USA Jobs, and no two are the same. When communicating to Forest Service representatives about a position you applied to on USA Jobs, it is helpful to refer to this unique number. The position title provides the official title for the position being advertised. Some jobs being advertised may show more than one position title. Sometimes similar positions can have different position titles. So it's important that you also read the duty statement and qualification requirements within announcements. The series and grade provides information on the occupational series and the grade level that has been assigned to the position. All positions in the federal government have a position title and a 4-digit occupational series number. The grade level identifies the starting level of pay for the position. Promotion potential for positions indicates the highest grade level, also known as the target grade, that could be reached for the position being advertised. Some positions will be advertised in multiple intervals, also known as career ladders, giving you the opportunity to apply for one or more grade levels. The type of appointment indicates whether the position is permanent, temporary, or another category. The announcement will provide the city and state where the position is located. You can click on a city and state within the announcement to bring up a map of the specific locations. Earlier, we explained that each announcement will state the grade level for the position. A grade refers to the general schedule, or GS pay scale, which is the pay level for the job. The higher the grade level, the higher the pay. Though there are other pay scales such as wage grade or WG, the GS pay scale is the most common in the federal government. If you answered B15 to the last question, you are correct. There are 15 GS grades, beginning with GS1 and ending with GS15. Each GS grade has 10 steps, which are pay levels based on longevity in that grade. Entry-level federal positions typically start between GS1 and GS5. On this slide, you will see a sample of GS grades and the basic dollar amount associated with each. Please note that there are different GS pay scales associated with specific locations, also known as locality pay. You will find information for the specific locality pay within the announcement. Visit the Office of Personnel Management's webpage at opm.gov to learn more about the GS pay scale. Once you've gained a better understanding of the job announcement, it's recommended to take time to review the announcement in full. Within the announcement, there is a duties section that provides a summary and information on responsibilities for the position being offered. At this point, you should consider if the position is a good fit for you and decide if you would like to apply. Reviewing this information will also allow you to gather keywords in order to tailor your resume. Study this section well to help you make your resume stand out. Any duties from your prior job, volunteer work, and school project experiences that you've performed should highlight your relatable experience. The best way to determine important keywords is to review several job announcements for your ideal position. The idea is to identify skills, experiences, education, and other credentials important in your field of interest. Focus on the requirements and qualification sections of the job announcements and look for descriptive and desired credentials for your ideal job. Another important area in the announcement is the requirement section. It describes the type of experience you need, certain conditions you need to agree to for the job, and how the hiring agency will evaluate your application. It's important that you read the entire section, especially the qualification section. Some job announcements will require education, some will require experience, and some will require both. Tailor the information on your resume and application to reflect your skills and experience as it relates to the specifications of the job. Be sure to review the required document section because every announcement is different. It will tell you what information must be submitted with your application in order to help the agency determine your eligibility for the position. This is the section where your attention to detail is very important to ensure you include all the required information. Gather all the required documents listed for the job announcement. It is the applicant's responsibility to attach all required documents and verify they are legible after being uploaded. If the required documents are not attached or if they aren't legible, you will not be considered eligible for that position. When submitting an SF-15, which is the application For 10-point veterans preference, you must submit additional documentation. The SF-15 alone will not suffice to get 10-point preference. For example, you will also need a veteran affairs letter stating the percentage of service connected disability that can be compensated. This is only one example. There are other documents that are accepted. After you've read the announcement and have uploaded all of your required documents in your profile, you can proceed to apply by selecting the Apply button. Once you start the application process, you will be asked to select a resume from your profile or utilize the resume builder tool provided in USA Jobs to create a new one. Note the little check box at the top of each resume box and a green check mark will appear on the one you select. Remember, you can store up to 5 resumes. If you decide to upload your resume and use your own template, please ensure you include the same information found in the USA Jobs Resume Builder tool. You may be disqualified from consideration if your resume is missing important information needed to assess your eligibility and qualifications. The next step in the application process is to select and upload the required and other irrelevant documents from your profile. Be sure to include all the required documents identified in the announcement. If you are using education to qualify for a position, be sure that you submit all unofficial transcripts and not just your most recent ones. Official transcripts do not need to be submitted until after a job offer has been made. If you are a merit candidate, be sure to upload all forms of proof of eligibility, such as most recent SF-50, past SF-50s, current performance evaluations, veteran documentation, Schedule A letters, certificates, or others. When in doubt, provide human resource with all documentation you think may be irrelevant. Once you have selected your resume and other documents, you will be asked to review your application package. Review and ensure that you've selected the resume and required documents that you would like to submit with your application. We recommend that you preview your documents by clicking on the View hyperlink under the document to ensure that they are accurate and formatted correctly before submitting them. Sometimes files can become corrupt while migrating them into USA Jobs, so it's best to check each one. Next, you will press the Save and Continue button and will be taken to the agency website to finish your application. You will see a folder icon pop up to indicate your selected documents are migrating over. This may take several minutes. Once you are in the Forest Service application system, you will need to select the duty location series and grade you want to apply for. It is important to know that you can select multiple locations, and some announcements may have an all locations option or a location negotiable option. Carefully review all advertised location options. Select all locations you would strongly consider accepting a position at. The more locations you select, the better chance you have at receiving a job offer. Cities that are popular to live in receive the most applications. Therefore, applicants who apply to those locations are in a larger pool of candidates. We recommend also considering less popular locations where you might be in a smaller pool of candidates and therefore may have a better chance of receiving an offer. We will discuss more about the location negotiable option on the next slide. Be sure you select all series and grades you believe you qualify for and are at a grade level you are willing to accept. Too often we see applicants who only apply to the highest grade level, only to find they are not actually qualified for it. These candidates miss out on a great opportunity because they didn't select a lower grade level, which often they would have been found qualified for. The location negotiable option allows a candidate to be considered for multiple job locations that were not specifically advertised or may allow the candidate to choose their preferred location. It allows the agency flexibility to place a candidate in a location where there is a need. If you select this option, you are agreeing to strongly consider accepting a position in a location not specifically advertised. This is an excellent choice if you are geologically mobile and open to beginning a career where needed, and can also increase chances of selection. Please note, selecting location negotiable does not place you in consideration for all the listed locations within the announcement. If you want to be considered for any of the specific locations listed, you must select them. After you've selected the grade levels and locations you would like to apply to, you must answer assessment questions. These questions include your work experience, skills, education level, and your overall knowledge of a particular field of study. You may select the answer that best reflects your education and experience. Be sure the information you provide here is supported by your resume or transcripts. If applicable, if after having gone through the question, you find that your resume could use a little more polishing, you can go back and edit your resume, re-upload, and continue the application process. Many people are modest when it comes to giving themselves credit for their skills and underrepresent themselves on these questions. This is your time to shine. So try to think about all the skills you have and use every day. Do you answer questions from other team members? Do you assist in providing hands-on training when needed? Are you the expert on specific work tasks on your team? Remember to answer the questions in this selection for the application with those experiences in mind. The Forest Service rates and ranks candidates based on knowledge, skills, abilities, and competencies. The question measures proficiency in various job-related skills. Questions could require multiple choice or yes or no answers. Essay-type questions may be used to demonstrate work experience. You should truthfully answer questions based on your level of skill. If you meet the qualification requirements and are determined to be among the best qualified, you may be referred to the hiring manager for consideration. Remember that under the How You Will Be Evaluated section, you may view the application and the assessment questions to ensure your resume supports your responses prior to uploading it to USA Jobs. Once you have answered the assessment questions, review and finish submitting your application for consideration. If needed, you can go back and edit your application package if it is before the closing date. However, you must ensure to resubmit your application again prior to the closing date, as the system will not save your application if it is pulled back for editing. If your application is not resubmitted for making changes, it will not be considered. Please note, some announcements only accept a limited number of applicants, known as an applicant cutoff, which will be noted on the announcements. For these announcements, you may want to be careful about editing your application after it is submitted, as that applicant cutoff may be met while you are editing and you will no longer be considered. After completing the assessment questions and uploading any additional documentation to support your answers, you will then return to the USA Jobs application status page. This page allows you to keep track of your application status for all applications you have submitted. Once you have submitted your application and the job announcement has closed, the following will occur. The agency will notify you that your application was received. The agency reviews eligibility and qualifications and may conduct interviews along with reference checks. After interviews, the agency selects the best candidate for the job, and the selected candidate is given a tentative job offer. At this point, other applicants are notified of non-selection. You will continue to be notified by email as these updates occur. We will now talk about how to make your resume stand out. Although a cover letter is not required, it is highly recommended. Read the job announcement carefully. Your resume must be targeted and completely tailored to the position you are applying to on USA Jobs. Federal resumes may be several pages in length as opposed to private sector. Your resume will be used to determine your qualifications and your 1 year of specialized experience. So make sure to list dates, including month and year, in your work or volunteer experience. Always have someone proofread your cover letter and resume. Human resources is flooded with applications for most positions and is faced with weeding out the good from the bad. Therefore, your resume needs to pass the skim test. Your resume must be targeted and completely tailored to the position you are applying to. Here are some tips for your resume. Find a job description or announcement similar to the job you will be applying for. Highlight the knowledge, skills, and abilities listed within the qualifications section of the job announcement. These would be things like answer inquiries from customers via phone and email, review your master resume for any experience that may speak to those skills and duties identified in the announcement. Build a targeted resume with keywords from the sample job description and any experiences and training from your master resume. Ask yourself, have I clearly addressed the general and specialized experiences described in the qualification section of the announcement? When building your federal resume, it's important to include 5 basic areas of descriptive words: analytical, communication, training, leadership, and management, and technical. Using descriptive words in each of these areas can enhance your resume. Don't forget about the significant keywords from the qualification section of the job announcement as well. Also try and use active words instead of passive words. For example, a passive voice would be accounts were reconciled daily. An active voice would be reconciled accounts daily. Making your resume stand out is crucial to the hiring process. It may not stand out as well if your resume isn't well organized with easy to find information. An average of 6.25 seconds is spent looking at a candidate's resume. 80% of that 6 seconds is spent looking at 5 things: name, current title, an organization, previous title, an organization, start and end dates for current and past positions, and education. 20% of that 6 seconds is scan time looking for keywords that match the open position. Clearly identify how you meet the qualifications and knowledge, skills, and abilities, since only a few seconds is spent looking for those terms. It is very important to explain the level of difficulty or responsibility for each job and activity you list in your resume. Highlight your accomplishments by documenting money saved or saving in time or efficiency. For example, using numbers to showcase an accomplishment for a person who has firefighting experience could be planned for controlled burns in a 6-month period. Hiring managers love to see examples of measurable results. It helps them identify which position and grade level your talents are best suited for. Some final tips for building a resume include: write in plain language and avoid jargon. Avoid acronyms. Carefully check spelling and grammar. Have someone else review and proofread your resume. Apply early and often to positions you're interested in and qualified for. And when including references, be sure those individuals are available and responsive. References are an important part of the hiring process and can hinder or even remove you from the hiring process if your references are not responsive. We encourage you to include at least 3 professional references on your resume, and depending on the position you are applying for, you will need at least 1 supervisory reference. Examples include a current or former supervisor, or even a college professor if you have never worked before. Select your references wisely. As you may know, the Forest Service is organized by regions. The map here gives a visual representation of our regional locations. Each region varies in climate, geography, and the type of work that occurs. For more information, visit the Forest Service on the web. This concludes our presentation portion of the webinar. We are now going to move into our live Q&A session. We encourage you to take full advantage of the subject matter experts we have on hand and ask any questions you may have. I will now turn it over to a member of our team who will moderate the Q&A session.
Thank you, Jody. Hi, I'm Jeff Huffman, and I'm happy to moderate the Q&A. If you'd like to ask a question, please post it in the Q&A pod, and I'll read those questions aloud. I just want to start by saying that we do have a limited amount of time, and as a disclaimer, we may not get to every question, but we'll try to get to as many of them as we can. If your question doesn't get answered, feel free to ask it again directly to us in the form of an email, and I'll drop into the chat where you can email your questions directly to us, and we'll try to get them answered as quickly as possible. Okay, I don't see any questions yet. Jody did a great job of explaining everything during the presentation in the webinar. So feel free to ask any questions now if you'd like. Oh, I see a new question. When applying for a position out of your living state, does that decrease your chances for that position? So if I understand the question correctly, you're asking if when you apply for a position that's out of the state that you live in, but you're willing to move to that state, does that decrease your chances for that position? Actually, as Jody pointed out, you're more likely to be considered for positions, the positions that you're applying for when you select multiple locations. as Jody mentioned, a lot of our real popular cities to live in or forests to work in get a lot of applicants. Some of the less popular locations don't get as many applicants, so your chances increase by applying for multiple locations. Great question, though. Thank you for that question. Another question. Let's see, I'm reading it as it says, I hope to work in some kind of outdoor position in the Forest Service, but I do not have a ton of experience. Would one of the programs such as Public Land Corps or the Resource Assistance Program be appropriate for me? Well, that depends on you and your willingness to do those. But yeah, anytime you can gain additional experience, obviously that's going to be beneficial. It's also more bullets that you can put in your resume. So the obvious answer to that question is yes. The more experience you have, the greater chances of fulfilling some of those qualification requirements you have as well. So yeah, those programs are certainly a gateway into a Forest Service career. Great question.
No, we don't have any questions in there. This is Marilyn Grubbs, and I've been a former staffer with the Forest Service on several different teams. So some tips additionally for job seekers that you don't always think about is adding a cover letter. So your resume really speaks to what you've done, but your cover letter really speaks to who you are. So it really gives the hiring manager insight about what experience you have, why you might actually want the position, and it can actually make a difference between you being selected and not selected. So definitely, if you do have time to create a cover letter, please do so. Other things is for attachments. Just say you're attaching your transcripts. Please make sure they're clear and legible transcripts. A lot of people, they'll go in and they'll be attaching their documents multiple at a time, but they forget to go back and actually look at the documents after they've been attached to make sure that they are legible. If we can't read them, you may be disqualified. So please make sure that the documents that you do upload can be read. Let's see, other things to think about. So apply early and apply often. Like the question about, if I have to move out of state and applying to jobs out of state, does that make me less marketable? No. Please apply to as many positions as possible that you feel that you would be willing to move to. It does make a difference. What other tips do I have as a staffer? Again, apply early. And what we mean is apply before, the announcements close at midnight. Try and get on there at least a day or two before. You'll be going through the qualifications section, and that's the question section of the announcement or the application. And you may think, oh, you know what? I actually have done that. Now I need to update my resume and reapply or add some things onto my resume. And you want to make sure you give yourself that time. Oh, looks like there's a question, Jeff. I'll pass it on to you.
The question says, can you suggest any resources beyond the resume builder for how to write good federal resumes? Well, yeah, obviously there are plenty of resume building suggestions out on the internet. If you go to Google, you can certainly type in there, how to build a federal resume, and you'll get a wealth of information from there. But as Jody pointed out during the webinar, remember the difference between a sort of a traditional resume and a federal resume. I would say the key to remember is more is better in a federal resume. And whereas in the private sector, they often tell you to keep it to 1 to 2 pages. That's not the case for federal resumes. You use as many pages as it takes to get the information that you need to show your qualifications in there. as much as possible. We do have the 5-minute warning, and we do have a couple of slides to go over before we finish. And there is one more question and this will be our final question. Are you hiring personnel that are the hiring personnel that we can reach out to for advice during the application process? That is a great question. In fact, I'm going to drop into the Q&A pod a opportunity for you to join our job seeker database, which is a great resource for you. So you'll get weekly updates on jobs that are available in the Forest Service. And also we have a consultation website where you can actually book a one-on-one consultation with our staff of recruiters. And I'll drop that into the Q&A pod as well, doing that right now. So that was a really great question to end on. And with that, we'll go to the next slide. We have some upcoming hiring events. The Forest Service is hiring for permanent wildland firefighters in various locations. This event consists of 3 phases. Phase 1 positions are closed. Phase 2, Job Corps and Region 2, 3, 4, and 8, and 9 are open from September 9 through 28 of 2022. Phase 3, Regions 1, 4, and 6 open today and go through October the 11th of 2022. The application period for the Presidential Management Fellowship Program is open and will close on September the 27th. This is an OPM, Office of Personnel Management led event, and it's an opportunity, and you can go to the OPM website, or actually PMF, pmf.gov, and read more about that. The Forest Service will be hiring temporary seasonal positions, including but not limited to firefighter, recreation, wilderness trail, visitor information, biological science technician, timber sales, prep, archaeology technicians in various locations. Jobs will be open to the public on the USA Jobs from September 29th through October the 6th of 2022, and again in January of 2023. We have some applications for upcoming hiring events that we're going to. The first one is the Society of American Foresters. That conference is taking place right now, and those application windows started on the 19th and goes through the 28th. I already mentioned the Presidential Management Fellows. The application window for the next conference, which is the STEM careers, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics careers, application windows for that is 4 through the 13th of 2022. Our upcoming webinar schedule, we invite you to attend one or all of our upcoming recruitment events, and they include the upcoming webinar schedule. As you can see there, they are. And by all means, don't forget to follow us on social media. Thank you for your time today. A career with the Forest Service is a career working with nature, managing and caring for more than 190 million acres of our nation's magnificent lands. Please follow the Forest Service on the social media for updates and upcoming events and exciting news. And finally, you can always reach us at our email site, which I have also dropped in the chat, and the career page is here as well, and I'll drop that right into the chat real quickly. And I hope you all have a great evening, and thank you for attending today's webinar.